By a show of hands, how many people want to have a lot more profit in their business? Yeah, everyone's hand. Thank you. And by a show of hands, how many people would like to have a lot more business in your business? Yes? Okay. If you raise your hand for either one of those questions, you come to the right place. Thank you. I don't know if it said in the email. This is interactive. So I realize you're at a disadvantage. You're eating, I'm not. But I'd like to engage you for the next 40 minutes or so in a discussion of some of the things that I've witnessed in my life. The first thing I'd like to do is acknowledge all of you for being here. I know everybody's got a very busy schedule, a very busy life. You've taken your time to come here and join me, and I appreciate that. My intention is to do my best to pass on information that will be valuable and actionable this afternoon. Who would like that? Thank you. So that you can take some of what I'm going to talk about back to your business and implement it and see tangible results this afternoon. Good or good? Better. Thank you. I've been fascinated with business for a long time. As you can see, it's been a long time. And some of you know me, some of you don't. Would it be okay if I take literally 2 minutes and tell you a bit about myself and why I'm here? Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. My first lesson in business was at age 9. I had the idea of selling sodas to motorists waiting in the gas lines. I lived on a street that had 2 gas stations at the end of it and a package store. And it was July. And a lot of cars didn't have air conditioning. So what do? You take your red wagon, you go to the little package store, you buy a couple of cases of soda, and you drag it walking home and collect 50 cents from everybody who wants a cold Coke or ginger ale or 7-Up or whatever it was. Well, you're not allowed to do that without a business license. So at age 9, I was done. My first real lesson in business came from an experience caddying. And it was the first referral I had ever had from the grumpiest guy in the golf course. Mr. Stein. You know this guy, right? Mr. Stein, the grumpy guy. He came up to me one day and he said, "Hey, your name's Altman, isn't it?" "Yes." "Frankel says you're the best caddy here. I want you to caddy for me for the club tournament." Okay. Business and referrals by age 16. I got it made. My first actual job, I had to wear a tie and shoes that matched, was in the financial services industry. And I spent about 10 years in that industry. And when you're talking to people on the phone, you tend to notice some things. One of the things I noticed, having this entrepreneurial mind and thinking a little bit out here, was that for some reason, whenever someone called and said, "I'd like to close my account," we said, "Okay," and you could type in some things and push a button, and they would get a check. "I'd like to close my account." Okay. Well, I studied psychology in college for a reason, and so I always wanted to know why. So I made a bold move when someone called in one day and said, "I'd like to close my account." I said, "Okay, I can help you with that. Can I ask why?" And as it turned out, by having a discussion with them, they didn't close their account. And there are various reasons how that happens and why that happens, but that was the birth of my asset retention programs. And I created and trained people on 2 asset retention programs at 2 financial firms that saved the firm millions and millions of dollars by simply engaging the person on the other end of the phone in a conversation. Fast forward to today, and my excellent experience, not 1 week ago, calling a company that we do business with, and was greeted with blah, blah, blah company name, account number. Wow, makes you feel warm and fuzzy, right? Would you like my name? No, just your account number. Okay, that's dreadful. So I am on a mission to change business, to help people understand that your biggest profit is in the people you already deal with. You know them. They know you. And I've trained hundreds and hundreds of people in this skill set. It's not even a skill set. It's an art. It really is an art. And I'll tell you a quick story. There was a buddy of mine named Jack. He worked in the financial services in the call center with me. We were an inbound call group. I eventually became a manager, and my my group had a 42% conversion rate, which was the highest in company history, just by having these discussions. But Jack was kind of nuts. You think I'm out there. He was beyond the border. Jack would stand on his chair with his headset on and have conversations with people. And Jack would do the twist, talking with people on the phone. Now, that was Jack's style, but it worked. And I had my style, and my reps would always say, I want to be like you. I would say, no, you don't want to be like me. This is my style. Adopt your own. Anyone who has a staff or anyone who interacts with somebody who buys from you, be yourself, be authentic, be genuine. That's what makes it work. So now that I'm moving back into this area of public speaking, because I was doing this before, well, I got downsized from the financial services industry. And in the course of 14 months, effectively, I lost my job. My dad died, and my ex-wife divorced me. So that was kind of a bad time. But I had been doing this training. I recently ran across somebody who said to me, hi, you remember me? You did that training for us, and it was great. It was 17 years ago. So there was kind of what I'll call a clue. Maybe this is where I belong. So accept my apology up front if this doesn't make any sense or I sound a little nonsensical or off the cuff a bit. I've got my notes. I'm simply presenting information that I believe, that I know you can take away and implement. Is that good or good?
Right.
Good? Thank you. So there are three things I'm going to pass on to you. I want to inspire new thinking. And it's not necessarily new thinking. It's thinking that we already know, but we just don't do it a lot. And if you do it, excellent. The other thing is to unite you. If you have a team, who here has a staff? Wouldn't it be great to bring them all together around a common cause, common purpose, common goal? If you're doing that, great. Let's build on that. Because that's the third bit is to ignite your results. Who said they want the profits to go up? Everybody. True? So let's make that happen. So today's takeaways, and they're written differently because in your packet they're called learning objectives, which sounds much too much like my wife who puts on lectures. I don't like lectures because they sound like lectures. I prefer presentations or talks or discussions. So the takeaway is how to prevent customers from destroying your bottom line. Who would like to know a bit about that, right? Let's face it, customers can be a pain. Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. The food coma is setting in really fast. Why getting rid of customers drives your profits higher? That's an interesting concept. Does that make any sense?
No.
No, not at all. But it will. Stick with me. And there's a simple mental shift that you can make that will lock out your competition for good. Who thinks that's a good idea? Yeah. And here's a very quick story about that. I've been to the offices of a Fortune 100 client of ours. And, I've been there a lot of times, but I've been there specifically 3 times as the security director has retired and introduced me to the new security director with the phrase something along the lines of, this is Lou Altman from Globophone. They are our satellite provider. Don't even think of using anybody else. It's happened 3 times now in the course of 15 years. Who thinks a competitor of mine is getting in that door? And I will let you know how we do that. By the way, the piece I missed is that I'm currently the CEO and the founder of Globophone Satellite Communications. We're coming up to 17 years in the satellite communications industry. We help heroes save lives. We provide communications tools and devices that work anywhere in the world, no matter what the circumstances are. 9/11 and Katrina were the 2 first testing grounds for satellite communications. Hurricane Ike, and if you know the news, they're using a lot of SATCOM in that plane crash over in the Alps right now because it's in the middle of nowhere. We are a client-focused organization. We have a 90% client retention rate. And the average turnover in this industry, and I was just at the satellite conference last week and asked a number of people who know more than me, between 3 and 4 years. Ours is 9 years. We keep a client for 9 years. The average provider keeps them for about 3. So I think we're on to something. And that's where this material has come from. So some of the ground rules, and then we'll actually get to this. I'm going to be presenting some stuff that may not make any sense. Please honor everyone in this room. Don't debate me here. I'll debate you all afternoon. We'll go have coffee. It may turn into drinks. It doesn't matter. But as long as we're all here together, simply hear me out. I assure you, it all comes together and makes sense. The other thing is that if you're here, please be here. If you're going to do this with your phone underneath the table, I can see you, and frankly, it's a small group, and so can everyone else. So please don't do that. Just, I mean, if it's something urgent, I get it. Life is life, but let's not do that. And for those of you who completed the online surveys, thank you. Some very interesting situations. I've put some thought behind some of them. Some of them you may hear me raise. I don't know whose they were specifically, but some of them are going to be raised in some of the material I'm going to present. Especially the one who said, my competition's driving me nuts. Okay, pay attention. So, one final thing, and this will be the first controversial point. Do not listen to anything I say. What? Say it with me. What? Come on. What? Here's why I say that. Everything I'm going to present is from my perspective. It's my experience, my background, my view of the world. The concepts are rock solid, but you need to adopt it to your perspective, not mine. So I'll present material that makes lots of sense. Eventually, it will make lots of sense. But it's still my perspective and my view. Is that good? Okay. Are you ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Don't sound like it. Are you sure?
Yep.
Can I get bring it on?
Bring it on.
Thank you. So if you open your folders and the material we have with the note on top of it, underneath that is what I'm calling an action guide. And let's take a look at the first question there because it's critical to understanding where we're going. And the first question is, what is a customer? Now, if we had more time, we'd take, a minute apiece and we would write down what a customer is and all the eloquent things that go along with it. But if we look at what a customer is, because we're in this room and we have a limited amount of time, somebody yell out some things. What is a customer?
Someone who buys things from you.
Buys things. Okay?
They want what you got.
Want what you got. You got. You from New York? Because it sounds like what you got.
Used guys.
Used guy. That's right. Used guys got some good stuff. Anything else? What is a customer? What is a customer? I mean, there's not a whole lot more to it than that, is there?
They come back, hopefully.
Okay. So they return. Whoops. Good. That's a good piece of it. Repeat business is great.
Source of revenue.
Revenue.
Source.
Okay. I heard someone else.
Relationship.
Relationship.
Hopefully loyal.
Perfect. So here's the most simple drawing that I can come up with for what a customer is. Green is the color of
Money.
Thank you. You're very good at this. They have money. And what do you have?
Product.
I don't know.
Services.
Widgets. Right? Product, services, whatever they may be. And all this is an exchange. You get the money, they get the goods. And they keep the goods. Tell other friends to buy the goods too. True or true? That's what we want. So here's another thought, and you'll also see it in your book. And I created those so you can take notes if you want. Write some of this down, or it's up to you, obviously. What are the pros and cons? I mean, there's certainly, we've discussed a bunch of the pros and the pros, right? What's good about having customers? Money. Today, blue is the color of money, at least on this slide.
Retention.
Retention. Man after my own heart.
Direction.
Direction.
Growth.
Power.
Power.
Ideas.
Now we're running out of space here, which is good. So, that's all good stuff. Who wants this in their business? Yeah, right? What are some of the not so good things? What are the cons? What's the bad stuff?
Obligations. Complainers.
Complainers.
Whiners.
I'm sorry, I didn't. What?
Whiners and complainers.
Whiners.
Uneducated in what you do. Unrelatable.
Unsatisfiable.
Insatiable.
Get rid of
That's
them.
Yeah.
Here's one thing. Sorry, that's not what I wanted to write. Do they ever return things?
Oh, sure.
Does that ever happen? We at Globophone, we finally took the shopping cart off of our website because what we found were people were buying card chargers and accessories for phones that they didn't actually own. Which I'm not sure how you do that because it's pretty well labeled, the phone name and model, and there's only literally 5 of them in the world. And I don't know how you can not match it up, but what we found was that people would buy a card charger for a phone that wasn't one they owned, and then they'd have to return it.
Uneducated.
Uneducated, true. So here's the question. I'm going to go to a brand new thing. When you're talking about the cons, who deals with it?
Somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky you.
Good answer. Yeah, lucky you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about my phone call to account number. There's this magical world of customer service, isn't there? Isn't that where the calls go? You know, probably come call center someplace, or you know, 2 folks on your team. So here's the thing. How much does this cost?
A lot.
Is this free? No. Right? So here's the concept. If you're paying people in your organization to deal with this, their money is going away. You're losing money by dealing with people who constantly complain. True or true? I mean, is this obvious? You know, I just see it, the world this way. And here's a very quick story, because I fired a very, 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 very large company twice. We had a contract in place with a company, and the network, because we don't run the network, had a rate increase. They didn't want to pay the rate increase. It's not in our contract. We can't pay the rate increase. We're not going to pay the rate increase. We don't care if you make any money. Okay, great. You know what else is in the contract? You're fired. 30 days notice. Goodbye. Go get your service somewhere else. A couple years later, they called us back. They wanted the newest and greatest and latest phone that was for sale. And I said, you know what? There's no point, because you want the lowest price. We don't sell at the lowest price. That's not the value proposition. It's a mismatch. Yeah, well, you know, and the service is... I said, so maybe lowest price isn't the only criteria. So here's our price. Well, so-and-so has it for less. Then go buy it from them. Clearly, low price is not the only reason you're buying this thing from somebody, because you actually value this. And here's the thing. We actually ended up doing business with them again. We restructured our service agreement so that they didn't have the cancellation, not the cancellation clause, the non-payment clause, which is fine. It didn't really matter. Guess what happened? Rate increase. Guess what happened? We don't want to pay it. And I remember saying to them, and I said, why don't you trust me, what I'm saying? Because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to cancel your service. You're going to have to go out and spend your time and money to source it again, and you're going to find out that what I'm telling you is actually true. And instead of paying $38 a month, or however much it was, you're going to end up paying $44 a month, and that's just the way it works. So that to me is not a company I want to work with. Here's my perception of a customer. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Thank you. Last in the door. Once the lowest price. First to leave. Wow, that's a business model I don't want. Who wants that business model? No. So here we have takeaway number 1. This is how customers destroy your profitability. If you're going to pay staff to deal with people who are complaining and returning things and not cooperative and just frankly call to give you a hard time. At one of the financial firms we had, there was a woman who actually ended up being my particular person to talk to, because I was from New York and she was from New York, she would call in and just start to scream. Now, she had a substantial amount of money, so for some reason the firm endured it. But eventually, you know what? Enough. It's not worth it. So the question becomes, and this will be your question to answer on your own. On the side of the pros and the cons, are there people that you deal with who do this, and is it worth it? Is it worth it for you to continue to work with them? And if so, okay, I would argue no. See, some of you are thinking, I'm making my list right now, and this afternoon they're toast. They're fired. Like the pill bugs in A Bug's Life. You fired. Okay, I'm the only one with small kids who used to have small kids and watched A Bug's Life 4,000 times. Anybody else watch a movie over and over and over again because your kids had to see the same movie over and over and over again? For me, it was A Bug's Life, so I remembered the pill bugs. So, if we're going to fire all our customers, what's the alternative? What do you have instead?
Good customer.
Good
customer.
Good customers. Clients. Thank you. Globophone has clients. They don't have customers. I've had long arguments with people in my organization about what we call them. Customers or clients. Different mindset. What do clients do? I mean, if you're going to call someone a client, what's their behavior?
They hang around.
They partner.
Collaborative.
Loyalty, right?
Respectful. I like your clients.
Win-win. Hopefully.
In effect, and it's interesting because these are not the answers I was expecting anyone to give, which is good, which makes this sort of a lot more fun for me. Don't clients basically do the same thing as customers? Go back to the customer list. What do? They buy stuff. You have things. They have money. You exchange. But there's a difference, isn't there?
Buy more than just the price.
Yes, they do. There's one key word.
Trust.
I'm sorry?
Trust.
Oh, you read my mind. They trust you. I am a customer at Irving gas station and Market Basket, but I'm a client of my accountant, my doctor, my wife reminded me this morning, my optometrist. For those of you who know my wife, you know why that's a good joke. The big difference. Does anyone at Irving advise me on which gas to buy? Does anyone at Market Basket advise me on whether I want Macintosh apples or Empire? No. But when it's time to do my taxes, do I sit down with my accountant and listen really closely to what he has to say? You bet I do. Same with my doctor. They offer advice. And for the person who filled out the survey and said, I offer advice and the client doesn't listen and it reflects badly on me, I would say this. No, it does not. It reflects badly on them. And if that's the way they're going to behave, there's lots of people they will not listen to. Doesn't need to be you anymore. Because it gets back to the question I just asked. Is the money worth it? At some point you make a decision, you know what? You are not worth dealing with. True or true?
True.
Right? There is everyone's mind's going, I can think of 5 people already. Actually, by contrast to that customer that I fired, we have a client who, as the Iraq and Afghanistan war has been going on, have been spending a lot of money on satellite communications. It's been declining over the years as we pull out troops, but at the height of what they were doing, they would write one purchase order to us for $1.4 million, or maybe 1.2. And we had an initial conversation about what the best solution is. We sell 5 different solutions. This is the solution that's going to do what you need. Boom, they're done. And they were buying 20 units at $72,000 a year in subscription and airtime and all this other stuff. And at renewal time, we'd have a conversation, something along the lines of, hello. They were my girls because they were all women. I said, is this still what you need? Is this still what they've asked you for? Here's the price. They would do a quick price justification. It wasn't a big rigorous exercise. There was one year we had Jim from Cost Containment call. Who wants that call? Cost Containment. What do you think that means? Lower margins. But we managed a way around that. And they simply trust what I tell them. And we get a purchase order, and they pay us in 2 weeks. Huge company. Because we say this is prepaid airtime. We can't do your 45 days or 60 days. 2 weeks. We get paid in 2 weeks. That's a client. They listen to what you say. They follow your advice. They understand the value they're getting. Who was it who said the value? It's over there, right? Value, not price. And they hang around. Who's in sales? Every hand should be up because technically we're all selling something, right? What's the way you build trust? Deliver, empathy, rapport. So you have that stereotypical sales meeting where you sit down at the desk, and whoever you're talking to on the other side, you say, "Hey, that's a great looking fish you got over there. Where'd you catch that fish?" You know, you've seen those things, but making some kind of a connection so that they will open up a bit more and tell you a little bit more than just what they need. I know a few things about some of our clients that they probably wouldn't tell another vendor. Because as I said before, this is a bit of an artwork, and client retention starts in the first meeting. It's a process you build all the way through. So we're actually, if you come back on the 14th, the next session is called Nobody Cares What You're Selling. We're going to talk a lot more about that. So clients are great. And I heard we have this term here. One deeper. What's deeper than a client?
Partner.
Business partner. Thank you. What's a business partner like?
Depends whether it's your definition or theirs.
That's a very good point. True. Absolutely.
They have a mutual interest in your success.
Mutual interest. I like that.
Longer-term view.
Long-term view. Here's one of the words from my experience. Has anyone ever been to a company where you're dealing with, and in my instance, it's a telecom, you go to the telecom department, and there's actually a telecom provider sitting in the seat. It's a business partner. Here's a quick story of when we lost business because of this. We supported FEMA from 2002 to 2009. Very demanding, actually. And Verizon was the provider for all of the telecom at the Emergency Operations Center, and we became very friendly and delivered. And who said you need to deliver? Yeah, that's important. We delivered, as our contacts say, you just get it done. No excuses, no nonsense. You need something overnight, we get it to you overnight or as fast as humanly possible. Verizon lost the contract for FEMA, and the new provider, a company called Indyne, brought in their own SATCOM provider, and there was no way we were getting in there. We were the business partner to Verizon, who was a business partner to FEMA. When that contract ended, we were out. Wasn't anything that we did. That's just how powerful a business partnership relationship is. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Right? I'm not the only one. Great. So, who likes graphs and charts and stuff? Anyone? Come on, somebody must. This slide is for you. Because this is where I show you, how this becomes profitable. So we have money over here, and this will be time. And we'll put little intervals on the side. Okay. Pardon me, because I wasn't very good at arts and crafts, but interval 1, you sell 3 of whatever it is. Widgets, donkeys, doesn't matter. Interval 2, you sell 5. You sell 2 more. Oops, wait a minute. You lost 2. Oh, that's not good. Because while your net here was 3, it's still only 3. It looks like you went up, but you actually lost 1. And then your next interval, very good interval. Look at that. Boom. Except a couple other people defected. Uh-oh. Better get on your sales team. Get them moving. Boom. Through the roof. Right? And they did a pretty good job because one, only
only a few left.
Does that look like a good growth? Look at that. Because here's the thing. Back to customer service people who are dealing with all of this, this costs you a fortune. Here's why I say this. Who in this room knows your average cost of acquisition for a client or a customer? Who knows what the number is? Because you will have to spend that number to get back all of these, times however many it is. So if you spend $1,000, 2, 5, 7, that's going to be $7,000 that you're going to have to spend to replace all of this and keep your growth going. Because this looks good, but when you look at the net, it's a bit more flat. If you spend $7,000 to replace these, I think you're doing it backwards, and this is my opinion. Here's why. Who's heard the old adage, it costs how much more to get a new customer than keep one?
10.
Is it 10? I've always stuck with sort of 5 to 6. Okay, we'll go with 10. So wait a minute, you're telling me for $700 I could keep them? Who wants to spend $7,000 to get the business back? Who wants to spend $700 to keep it? Every hand? Because, right? That's how retention, point number 3, drives profitability. And there's 2 pieces to this. A, your salespeople can be working on other stuff, or they're still going to be out prospecting for new business. But if you get rid of your customers, what are your customer service people going to do? I have an idea. Hi, Mr. Client. I haven't talked to you in a while. How you been? Did you know that there's a new product out? You know, we were taking a look at your account, and you've been buying this for this many years, and there's a newer way to do things. At Globophone, there's a new rate plan out. It's the same price as monthly service now, but it includes 10 free minutes of airtime. How many of our clients do you think want to hear about that? Everyone? Free airtime, same price. If you can do something like that, why would you not? Does this make sense? Is it obvious to everybody or most of you and not just me? Because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. So here's the question. This is a big question. It's in the action guide. Why? Why you over your competition? What do you bring to the equation that your competition doesn't? Why do people buy from you and not your competition? The client, if you think about the clients you have, and maybe even think about the best ones, and so now you're all thinking clients. Yes, that's what we'll call them. We'll call them clients. That's up to you. But think about the best clients or customers you have. What is it about them that makes them buy from you? What do you bring to the table other than the product? Here's the interesting thing in the satellite world. Every Iridium phone is made in the same factory as every Iridium phone. Iridium is one of the brand names. Every Inmarsat, every Thoriai, every Globalstar. If you look at the 4 or 5 phones we sell, they are all made in the same factory by the manufacturer. There's no difference in them. So why do people buy from us over the competition? And here's what I would suggest. Add some value. Differentiate yourself. Do something different. You've made the mental shift of going to clients. Once you make this mental shift, 3 things will happen. Now you have clients. I've shown you how your profitability is going to go up. But most importantly, your competitors are locked out. We provide something our competitors refuse to provide, and for the people who believe it's important, those other guys will never get in the door, ever. Ever. Over, out, done, Roger, 86, see you later. Not going to happen. In fact, there was very recently, in the last few days, a government bid where we're the provider, where they had a very specific requirement that only we can fulfill, and they canceled a public bid using the justification that they're allowed to. Because we're providing something that nobody else will. Who'd like to be in that situation where the business automatically goes to you because you're different than everybody else? So we are approaching the end. Some of you are thinking, thank God. He keeps talking, he won't stop. As I said, the next session is April 14th. Same time, same place. Actually, Nick told me because, by the way, thank you all for coming because there are many more of you than RSVP'd, which is great. We'll be in the big room. What I'd like you to do, if you'll indulge me, who's up for some fun and some homework? Just a thought.
How about just fun?
Okay, you can have fun. Well, and wait a minute, who had one of those teachers that said, it's not homework, it's home fun? No, it's not. This actually is one of those things where here's some things you can take away and implement right now. Start thinking in terms of clients. We've already been through that. I'll hammer that until the day I'm dead. But think of 3 to 5 value adds that you can implement in your business. What can you do to differentiate yourself at low cost or for free? And then pick one that's an outrageous idea, one that's ridiculous. There's someone in this room who works with me. She knows how many of these ideas I have. They're way out there. Or, if it suits you, keep customers and keep the transaction. You know, I now realize one of the major slides I didn't write is customers are transactional, clients are relational. I'm pretty sure everyone gets that because in some of the responses I've heard, customers buy things. Clients trust and embrace and engage. It's a different dynamic. So here's some ideas because these are the things that Globophone, my satellite company, does. These are things that we do. We created inclusive minute rate plans in the Iridium satellite segment about 10 years ago. We didn't bill by the minute, even though it's more profitable. Inclusive minute rate plans are better for clients. We pool airtime. We create custom pools. If you're buying a pool of airtime, you can be billed monthly, quarterly, or annually. It's up to you. That's how you want to use that airtime. We offer the flexibility to do all of that. We deliver a phone in a kit, in a padded nylon bag, with the battery charged, the SIM card installed, the phone number label on the side. All of the accessories are included with a 5x7 laminated card that's copywritten as the Easy Guide card that has a picture of the phone with descriptions of the key buttons and how to make phone calls. There's a flash drive for one of the model phones on how to use it, a short video. There's a pen and a flashlight and a 24-hour call-in number if you have an emergency. So when you receive your phone from us, you unzip the bag and turn the phone on and make a phone call. Now, contrast that with one of my sales staff who called a prospect to say whatever happened. And this is almost a quote. I advised my company to buy from you because I understood what you're doing. They decided to save $10 per phone. I now have 90 satellite phones sitting in the manufacturer's box, sitting behind my desk. What do I do? I would suggest you go back to the person that made that decision and make him charge all the phones. That's what I would suggest. Maybe smack him a bit or return them and come back to us. It's how your clients want to spend their time doing what. One of the most important things that Globophone does, and I would suggest that anybody in this industry can do this. We have an education series. It's right on one of the drop-down menus on our website. I put on webinars, approximately 10 a year, that are anywhere from introduction to satellite communications to introductions to the specific networks to how to choose the right satellite phone, how to choose the right satellite network, introduction to data services, and product updates. Become the authority. There's a government agency located not far from here in a state just south of us, and they're with a big government organization, and they call us for client support. They haven't been a client of ours for a number of years. The reason they call us for client support very apologetically, because they know we're gonna help them. Their provider, who is a low bid provider, provides them a website with an email form to fill out, and they usually don't get back to them at all. And we don't mind. I mean, I know the guy. It's okay. I've actually had him come and speak at his events. That's a kind of loyalty that keeps you profitable, highly profitable. Most profitable client we have is the one we've had for 15 years. Why? Because it simply compounds. So, are you going to start building a client base and eliminating customers? Who is already thinking of people that they're going to call up and say, you know what? Right? Because I see some of you smiling, and you might not want to tell them, maybe you know each other, but you know, your life is too short to deal with people who are a pain. Get rid of them. One of the exercises Globophone did last fall was we took a look at who our best client is. And we did a profile to the level of a 53-year-old telecommunications manager who probably earns $140,000 a year household income, probably gets 3 weeks vacation. They go to either a lake or a beach, and they highly value honesty, integrity, and value. That's the clientele. That's sort of the picture of the client that we determine is the best client we have. And you know what? The rest of the people, we don't need them because they're not worth it. So, have you had fun?
Yeah.
Has this been a little bit different than what you were expecting because there's not a PowerPoint slide to be had? I don't believe in death by PowerPoint ever, and I've been to too many conferences where somebody will drive to the podium and put up a slide and then read it. I can read it. I don't need you to. Have you learned anything? Okay. I'm going to close with this, and this is a quote from Henry Ford. He said once, "A business absolutely devoted to service will only have one worry about profits. They will be embarrassingly large." With that, I thank you again for coming, for being here. I appreciate your time. And please come back on the 14th and bring a friend, and let's fill that room. Thank you very much.